Good morning. As I looked at the stage, I noticed that I had a choice of two lecterns from which to address you, one tall, one short, and I hope it is self-evident why I chose this one. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and to visit with so many partners the Department of Homeland Security relies upon in keeping our aviation system safe, our American homeland secure, and the American travel experience as smooth and enjoyable as possible. Our goal is to provide every passenger with the best possible security as they travel from place to place. There is no room for error, no tolerance of failure. And when we identify a vulnerability, we address it immediately, aggressively, and thoroughly. I do want to take a moment to introduce colleagues of mine who have joined me here in Miami. Kevin McAleenan, the Deputy Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection. Raul Perales, the Assistant Secretary for our Office of Private Sector, and I'll speak to that relationship in a moment and its importance to you. And my Chief of Staff, Robert Silvers, who's been a lifelong fan of the aviation industry. IATA has been a strong partner of DHS and our government counterparts around the world. It is for this reason that I wanted to be here personally to inform you of actions Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson has directed the Transportation Security Administration to take as part of our efforts to continually enhance our security capabilities and techniques. These actions are necessary, as you are aware, because of recent news accounts of a classified preliminary report the Secretary and I received from the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security. The report is classified, and it is therefore not appropriate to publicly describe its contents beyond generally acknowledging that it concerns the results of tests centered largely on the manner in which someone may seek to bring prohibited items through TSA screening into the secure area of an airport. As a preliminary matter, it is important for me to emphasize to all of you that all air travelers are subject to a robust system that employs multiple layers of protection, many of which are not visible to the public, including intelligence gathering and analysis, cross-checking passenger manifests against watch lists, screening at checkpoints, random canine test screening at airports, reinforced cockpit doors, federal air marshals, armed pilots, and of course, a vigilant public. In combination, these layers provide enhanced security screening, creating a much stronger and protected transportation system for our traveling public. Secretary Johnson takes the latest test results very seriously and has directed TSA to develop a plan of action that will aggressively and appropriately respond to, mitigate, and counter the vulnerabilities identified. First, TSA will immediately revise its standard operating procedures for screening to address the specific vulnerabilities identified by the Inspector General's testing. Second, TSA will immediately brief the results of testing to the federal security directors at every airport across the United States, with a particular focus on the procedural and performance vulnerabilities identified by the Inspector General. And I should note that this action was completed as of this past Friday, June 5th. Third, TSA will conduct training for all transportation security officers and supervisory personnel to address the specific vulnerabilities identified by the testing and to reconfirm appropriate standards are conveyed. Fourth, TSA will retest and reevaluate the screening equipment currently in use at airports across our nation. These evaluations will include a review of the maintenance records and operational testing of all detection equipment, as well as a review of maintenance policies and procedures and the methods by which oversight is conducted. Fifth, the Inspector General and TSA will continue to conduct random covert testing to improve airport security and to identify potential system gaps and vulnerabilities. Sixth, TSA will ensure that all screening equipment is operating up to the highest possible standards, assess the existing performance standards, and identify areas for enhanced operability. In addition, Secretary Johnson will personally meet with contractors involved in the development of the equipment to issue and underscore the importance of their assistance. Seventh, TSA will continue to closely collaborate with the Undersecretary of Science and Technology in our department to examine alternative technologies and capabilities to address the vulnerabilities identified by the Inspector General's testing. And in this regard, I should note, through our Office of Private Sector under the leadership of Raul Perales, we intend to develop a stronger public-private partnership in the research and development of the best that our architecture has to offer. Finally, the Secretary has appointed a team of TSA and DHS senior leaders to ensure timely implementation of these actions. We continue to have confidence in our TSA workforce, a workforce that I am proud to work alongside. The caliber and composition of our TSA workforce, 20% of whom are United States military veterans, is really what makes our growth and continued evolution as a high-performing counterterrorism agency possible. I want to ask for your continued support of TSA and especially our frontline employees as we move and progress forward. I also want to encourage you to provide vocal support for the speedy Senate confirmation of Coast Guard Vice Admiral Peter Neffringer to be the next administrator of the Transportation Security Administration. His qualifications are exceptional. Finally, I want to thank all of you for partnering with us to secure our aviation system and, in the process, keeping our homeland safe and our economy prosperous. The fact is, the aviation industry is one of our country's most critical infrastructures, but it does not belong to the Department of Homeland Security. It belongs to all of us and all whom we represent around the world. We exist to help you protect this infrastructure. If you look at the terrible and tragic day of September 11, 2001, we will see that our enemies used our critical infrastructure against us. They turned our airplanes into weapons. We are determined to make sure that does not happen again. And so, of course, are you. So counterterrorism and aviation security will remain the cornerstones of the Department of Homeland Security. And you, the aviation industry, will remain one of the greatest strengths in keeping our homeland secure. Thank you very much.